So after watching season 3 of Daredevil and just being blown away by its sheer awesomeness,
He's too awesome!
had to let that sink in a little bit and think about the other seasons of these Netflix shows, and now it's time to revisit my ranking of the Marvel Netflix shows worst to best. How would you rank these 6 shows? Let's talk about it in the comments.
Bulletproof. Blind ninja. Whatever it is you are.
Classy.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my ranking of the 6 Netflix Marvel shows worst to best. Now that I've finished Daredevil season 3 and really just thought about that show so much, done 2 videos on it and really just kind of let it simmer, I'm excited to go back and look at all these shows, especially since their seasons added post The Defenders, and see how that will affect my ranking. So I'm excited to dive into that. So you know, spoilers for everything. I'm just not going to hold back. I'm going to talk about all the stuff. So just so you know, spoilers, plenty of them are going to be ahead. Now, how would you rank these 6 Netflix Marvel shows worst to best? I'm excited to have that conversation with you in the comments. Number 6, Jessica Jones. Poor Jessica Jones. On my last ranking, she came in at number 5, last place. On this ranking, she's coming in at number 6, last place. I feel kind of bad. I feel like I'm this lone dude out in the rain that just does not like Jessica Jones. I mean, even the other day, I was talking to my friend all about Daredevil and how he doesn't necessarily need to watch the other shows to follow the plots and themes that's going on in Daredevil. And this random stranger off to the side yelled, "But Jessica Jones is so awesome!" And I'm like, something about that show just does not resonate with me. But for me, at least season 1 had David Tennant, and he was just the freakiest, most epic Marvel villain. Just awesome. He was amazing. But for me, season 2 didn't even have that. To me, season 2 is just like this dead weight that takes the show and brings it down even more for me. And I just feel like all the character arcs and all their storylines made them more unlikable to me than ever. Like Trish, for instance, I did not like her at all this season. She abused people, she misused people, and the show wasn't saying what she was doing was good, but it felt like in the end for me, she got rewarded for doing all that bad stuff because she ended up with the cat-like reflexes. And I saw that she's gonna be like Hellcat or whatever, but I don't care. There was just something about Trish and her whole journey, beginning to end, the way she pursued her power, the way she treated people in the pursuit of that power, and then how she just ended up with it anyway. I was just like, I found her so unlikable this season. And poor Malcolm. Like, Malcolm was like the only character I really liked this season, and he was like abused by everybody. Here he is, an addict overcoming his own problems and his own issues, and everybody is just using him. Jessica's talking bad to him. And again, something else that should have been interesting, diving more into Jessica Jones and her origins and like what happened to her family, how she got her abilities, and her mother's alive. Her mother has more power and strength than her. Like, all of that should have just been so much more interesting, but all of it was so abundantly unsatisfying. I mean, the way we end the whole plot with Jessica Jones and her mother is Trish shoots the mom in the head. I mean, it's a superhero show. At least build it up to some sort of superhero fight between Jessica Jones and her mother, and Jessica Jones is torn up on the inside about this. But I don't know, like, I just felt like the characters were unlikable for me this season. I didn't like where this story went, and it just felt like it ended on a very unresolved note. It felt like nothing got resolved between Jessica and her mother, then her mother shot in the head, and it's like... Number 5, The Punisher. The Punisher comes in for me here at number 5, and I wanted it to be higher because in Daredevil Season 2, when they gave us The Punisher, it was incredible. I love the actor playing The Punisher. He was born for that role. He's fantastic in that role. I mean, the action in Season 2 of Daredevil with the Daredevil and The Punisher is just incredible. The clash of ideologies where Daredevil won't kill anybody, but The Punisher's like, you're just a half measure, Red. That's all you are, a half measure. I'm just finishing what you start. I mean, they really dove into his motivations and stuff. So when Season 1 of Punisher was coming out, I was really excited. Because in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be a John Wick thing. Because in John Wick, you get just enough with John Wick, his wife, the dog, and how bad these bad guys are, that when John Wick comes out, guns ablaze and nonstop action, you're like, yes! And The Punisher Season 1 was so slow. It was so slow and unmemorable. I remember watching season 1 of The Punisher and scrolling through my phone like, oh crap, that's right, I gotta review this, I gotta watch. I just felt like season 1 couldn't hold my interest because for a show about The Punisher, it just felt so slow and so boring. And I feel like this show suffered from being 13 episodes instead of 8. And so if they would have made it 8 episodes, they could have made it more concentrated, more focused, and move faster through things. And because it was 13 episodes, it felt like they were really dragging out things. It was interesting that they wanted to make him more than a guy who goes out and kills the bad guys. They wanted to dive into his motivations. They used this character, Lewis, who was justifying his actions because of what the Punisher did, causing Frank Castle to question himself and his actions. So there were interesting story elements in it, and the story was overall kind of interesting. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, compared to what they did with The Punisher and Daredevil season 2, I thought they did a far better job with him there than in his own show, where it just felt like it was stretched out longer than it needed to be. Cut the episodes down, and I think it would have been far better. Number 4, Luke Cage. Season 1 of Luke Cage was interesting in the first half, dropped off for me completely in the whole second half. Season 2 as a whole was way more interesting. I mean, we get to meet James Lucas. We really get to meet Luke Cage's father, and Luke Cage is holding a grudge against his father. And so what this whole season is about is forgiveness is the way of real power, and unforgiveness, it's bitterness, it's poison to the soul. We deal with that with Bushmaster. Even Bushmaster's uncle is like, stop this quest for vengeance. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Like, vengeance is the Lord's. And one of the most interesting things was to follow Luke Cage through that journey of bitterness. And how, at the very beginning, Claire leaves him because he's so full of rage and bitterness that he just punches that wall. Claire's like, I know these signs. I'm out of here. See ya. So she takes off and she's gone. Throughout the show, you see Luke Cage start to overcome, falls right back in, and the show ends when Mariah gives him the club, and she knew what she was doing right before she died. Like, willing the club to Luke Cage because she knew it would corrupt him. She knew it would, and it did, because he meant to do good with it, that, you know, now all the gangs come through here, and I'm the man in charge. I will bring peace to Brooklyn. But we could see that it's corrupting him because when Claire shows up and she returns to Luke at the end, he sends her away.
Tell Claire to go home.
So we see that, like, kind of the tragicness of giving into bitterness. We see that in Bushmaster, we see that in Luke, and so it's kind of an interesting theme that is throughout the show. I feel like the show's ultimate weakness for me, though, was, again, 13 episodes instead of, like, 8. So it felt like it was more drawn out and longer than it needed to be, and it just felt like there were too many episodes of just super long conversations. Season 2, it was just so up and down. It was like, oh, this is intense and good. Oh, this is so slow. Oh, this is intense. And, oh, we're back to it being so slow. And that's kind of where I was with it. Favorite episode, though, was where Iron Fist joined, and, like, the episode where those two were fighting together was just so incredibly good. They really are a great team. And have Danny Rand trying to help Luke Cage release his anger and operate from a place of peace. It was just a really great episode. So, man, with Luke Cage and Iron Fist being canceled, why not just make a new show, Luke Cage and Iron Fist? Because those two together, man, they are a fantastic team, and I would really like to see that. Number 3, Iron Fist. Season 2 elevated it for me. Season 1 was really good. Loved the kung fu, loved the action. Loved the kung fu, loved the action in Season 2, but in Season 1, he was just a crybaby. Defender's less of a crybaby. Finally, we get to this, and he's not so much a crybaby. Yeah, he's still a little immature here and there, but overall, much better character. Now, I could understand, like, if we left off with Season 1, why they would cancel this show, because he's such a freaking crybaby. So I could get it. That's why you're going to cancel Iron Fist. But I felt like Season 2 was better. I mean, the whole theme of Season 2 was overcoming addiction, whereas Luke Cage, it had a theme, and it was overcoming bitterness and having forgiveness. This season was about overcoming addiction. Watching Ward overcome his addictions was incredible because he kept stumbling and falling and getting back up, and he kept fighting for his sobriety, and it was kind of inspiring. Whereas Trish kept succumbing to her addiction, and she treated people like crap, and she's rewarded with getting powers at the end. Same thing with Danny realizing that the Iron Fist, like the power had him instead of him having the power, and trying to learn the nature of power and what it means to hold that power. So, and again, the action, the kung fu was really cool. I really like Davos. They did a really good job diving into his character, his backstory, his father stopping the fight and declaring Danny Rand the winner. I mean, Davos lost. I mean, I think you could watch that and you know Davos had lost, but it's supposed to be like this fight to the death, and in Davos's mind, I wasn't dead, and my father just stopped the fight, and then my mother comes up to me and she's like, I raised you to be a winner and you lost. I have to bear that shame all my life. No wonder this dude is so freaking mad. I liked season 2 of Iron Fist. It elevated the show for me. It made Danny Rand a better and better character. So, and the way it ended, Colleen stopping crime and her fist glows and it travels up the sword. The chi goes up the sword and it's like, whoa! Then we got the Danny Rand somewhere else in the world and both of his fists glow and it travels through the guns that he's holding and into the bullets. And so I liked that cliffhanger and now I want more. Like, I want a season 3 of Iron Fist because I want to see where we go with that. So I am sad that Iron Fist was canceled. I do understand it. So for me, I just feel like season 2 elevated Iron Fist and I would be interested to see a season 3. Number 2, The Defenders. This one stays solid at my numbers 2 spot just because I did enjoy it. It definitely has this weak stuff, and you know, one of the weakest things to me, and I'll get this out of the way, was how long it took for them to all meet and get together and become the Defenders, especially since it was 8 episodes instead of 13. If it was 13 episodes, I feel like they could have taken that time. So I felt like I got gypped on Defenders time. And I'm really sad, like, thus far, there ain't gonna be a Defenders season 2 because I would really like to see them all come back together for another season after all the stuff that they've now been through. One of my favorite things about the Defenders was bringing these cast of characters together. I thought they balanced each other out well. Like, whenever Iron Fist was going, I'm the immortal Iron Fist.
I'm the immortal Iron Fist.
You what?
Well, then that led to some wise stuff from Luke Cage and good stuff from Luke Cage. Or that epic fight scene between Matt Murdock and the Iron Fist. And so it would go somewhere. And so I felt like when you brought these characters together, they balanced each other out. So, like, I really liked The Defenders in spite of its weaknesses. I really liked the action in The Defenders, and I really liked all the characters together and how they balanced each other. Number 1, Daredevil. Freaking loved Daredevil Season 3, and I feel like Season 3 absolutely elevated this show even more. It made me love all the characters even more. Even, like, Karen Page, I struggled with her in the other 2 seasons, but I really related with her a lot more in Season 3, and it took her character and elevated her character. Season 3 took everything and elevated it, and Daredevil has to be number 1 for me because I think of all the Netflix Marvel shows, Daredevil has been the most consistent in its tone and in its feel and its storytelling. All 3 seasons to me have had a fantastic balance of telling an epic story, giving us a great payoff, giving us great character conversations and character developing moments mixed with just some amazing action, upping the hallway fights in every season. So every season, it's like something else I'm looking forward to. How are they going to do the hallway fight now? And Fisk, oh man, I mean, as much as I love David Tennant in season 1 of Jessica Jones, I just love Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. He is just such an epic villain, and what they did with him this season was just, it was just beautiful. Season 3 took it and elevated it, and it kept what I love best about Daredevil, its consistency. Its consistency in tone, its consistency in storytelling. It is the most, and this, I guess, is my key word, the most consistent show of the Netflix Marvel shows. So there it is. That's my ranking of the 6 Netflix Marvel shows worst to best. How would you go through and rank these shows worst to best? Let's do that in the comments. Cannot wait to talk with you about this. While you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you'll be notified for my next ranking video, theological analysis, movie review, reaction video, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.